Welcome to the very first episode of the Umana Experience Podcast. My name is Rachel, and I'm a devoted Umana practitioner. This podcast is dedicated to exploring all aspects of the Umana Technique, a groundbreaking new modality in the healing arts. Umana, channeled by renowned Australian spiritual teacher Kachina Ma'an, acquired almost daily energy for 6 months to bring into existence. This profound advancement in evolutionary development is available to us now because as a collective we are ready for it. Umana, which means evolutionary breakthrough, is a method known as evolutionary engineering. It's hard not to be passionate about this incredible modality and the transformative effects it brings. Our goal is to share information about Umana so you can learn firsthand about its benefits and impacts. I'd like to welcome my first guest, my colleague, friend, and fellow Umana practitioner, Nate from pellowah.space in Sydney. Thank you for joining me today, Nate, and a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you for having me. It's so exciting to be here. I'm just listening to that introduction. I'm just filled with chills because it is such an exciting modality to be working with, and just hearing you talking about it and getting that into the world is a really happy place for me to be here. And thank you for inviting me on.
You're very welcome. We're going to jump into our first question. Can you briefly introduce yourself and your experience with the Umana Technique?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Nate. I'm based in Sydney, and I work at pellowah.space. I've been involved with energy work for a long time. So I started Reiki when I was 19, but I've really come into it in the last few years, mostly with working with Pellowah. Umana is next level. I'm so excited to be part of it. I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time, and to be bringing it out to sharing it with the world. It's so exciting to be doing this.
Wonderful. And how did you first discover Umana, and what drew you to practice it?
I was really lucky. I was lucky enough to be in Melbourne last year when Kachina Mayan actually channeled it through. Now she didn't. It wasn't called Umana at the time, but I just did know that there was this new energy coming. So I had heard about it, and as soon as I heard that there was this new modality coming through, that the humankind was ready for it, I was like, I'm there. So I signed up to the first class. Which happened earlier this year, and you were there, Rachel. It was really exciting to be part of that inaugural lesson, and my experience with it has been incredible. I would say it's life-changing for me and on my clients. It's just here at the right time for the right people, and it's going to be a exciting time for anybody that comes across it, and I just want to get it out into the world.
Absolutely. And the impact on clients and practitioners, which is something that everyone is going to be really interested in learning more about. How has Umana benefited both clients and practitioners, including yourself, in your observation?
Well, first of all, it's a really great addition to have in my toolkit. So I do a lot of modality work with other things. So I offer Pellowah, and I offer Reiki, and I do source readings, a whole lot of other stuff. But this is like leveling up in terms of what I can offer clients. When clients come to me, a specific type of client that does come to work with me, I feel it's like the clients that are ready to move forward and grow. They've kind of done the work. They've done the healing. Like, the clients that are coming to me are looking. They're kind of looking at the world with taking the blinkers off, and they're really discovering their full potential, what they're capable of, looking at the world in such a different way. And it's really inspiring and exciting to see what they've done ever since they've had a Umana session. The energy is beautiful. The feeling that you get after a Umana, you're filled with joy, and there's euphoria, and there's potential, because it does so many things for the clients. And once clients can start to tap into that, they do want more. It's incredible.
It's really interesting. So a couple of points that you mentioned before, and that each of us attract a certain type of person that we're holding space for. And so this next part that I mentioned might be different for your clients, but I find for myself and the beautiful souls that come to me is the first 48 hours there, especially after an initial Umana session, you might feel emotions come up. Lots of things are moving around as you've had this incredible surgery take place. And it's usually on that 48-hour mark. You wake up and you're like, wow, I feel so different.
Yeah, I've noticed that people are noticing the experience of the actual session, the hour session. There's something that happens, but you're right. What they find happens in the time that happens afterwards is incredible. So I like to check in with them after a couple of days to see how they're going, and they're always like, "I feel lighter." This is almost a sense of euphoria, and it's really beautiful. The effects keep working. So after that 48 hours, it gets better for them. So they've actually had some time for it to integrate, and they've had time for it to experience life post-Umana, but they need time to be able to see the changes. So you're right, the 48 hours is is a really good time to just to speak, to check in with them and remind them and see how they're going.
And how has practicing Umana affected your own life, personally and professionally?
Working with Umana has brought back a lot of excitement into where we can take our lives and what I can offer people as here on this earth for a mission. And it is to help people find their path, awaken to the possibilities of why they're here. If you believe in soul contracts, it's to help people get back on track with their soul contract, to make sure that they're actually here and they're making the most of what they were here to learn and experience and all that type of thing. Umana gives me an opportunity to help people tap back into who they truly are. And that, for me, is just personally rewarding. And it makes me, I just love giving people an avenue to be able to find themselves again. And it's given me purpose again. It's given me a real direction. I'm so passionate about this as you are when we've had the conversations about it, but it's just given me a real push into really focusing on getting this out there, because I want to share it with everybody, because I just love it so much.
And you said that you've done swaps with other practitioners, as most of us seem to do. When you have those sessions for yourself, are they always remote sessions, remote healing sessions?
Yeah, so based in Sydney, I travelled to Melbourne to learn Umana, and it hasn't been taught in Sydney yet, but hopefully it will be later this year. I'm trying to bring a team into Sydney to teach Umana in Sydney. All my swaps with practitioners have been remote. So I learnt in Melbourne, and I've got colleagues in Brisbane that have approached me to do swaps, and I've got colleagues in Melbourne that have approached me to do swaps. So they've all been remote. What I love about them is that they're always different. They just get better and better.
Yeah, I enjoy remote, I must say. A lot of people say that when you're in your own home, you can't relax for a session, but I haven't had that experience at all. I absolutely love being in my own space and relaxing and having a Umana session. So the benefit is just as amazing and truly special remotely and in person. Would you agree?
Absolutely. But remote actually gives you some time to be in your own space without any distractions. It's incredible. And then you can really settle into it. I love remote sessions. Receiving, I love giving, but receiving, it's just incredible.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said. I think it's a really beautiful experience where you can set up the room the way that you want it, and then you're not distracted by the practitioner. You truly feel that incredible connection between you and the universe as you're laying there and receiving. And a lot of the time we fall asleep throughout sections of it. In any case, I have just found that as long as I have a clock where I can see the time, otherwise it's quite disorientating to wake up and not know whether you can move or not move.
You do lose track of time, and you have these moments where 5 minutes is actually an hour, or an hour is 5 minutes, and you're like, oh, you don't want to disrupt the energy by like looking at your phone. So I think it's really good to have a clock that you can see. The energy is an intelligent energy. It does what it needs to do with you. So if it needs to kind of take you away so that it can do its work, it does. If it wants you to have an experience and you get messages or see something or hear something, or you fall asleep.
It's so powerful. What is the most profound transformation you've witnessed with Umana?
Look, it's a really interesting question because I've had a lot of clients with different experiences, but I will tell you about one that I've just had just this week. She fell asleep for part of it, but for the most of it, she was getting messages through and seeing stuff and really opening up to things. At the end of it, she told me that she had seen God or source energy, and she got up off the table and she looked like a different person. So this is before she's even noticed any of the benefits in the next couple of weeks. But in this 1 hour session, she got off the table and she was calm and relaxed and at peace and light. And I really love about that is when she was talking to me and explaining that. And the good, the thing about Umana is, the client, he doesn't have to share anything. They don't have to tell us anything that they don't want to. And the same, the same, like if they don't want us to tell them anything that comes through, that's fine. But she was really willing to talk about what the Umana experience was for her. And the fact that she felt this beautiful peace, I'm so excited to see what happens with her in the next few weeks. And as she comes back, I did speak to her yesterday, and I sent her a message, and she wrote back and she said, "I've got diamonds in my eyes." Now, I think that's a beautiful, like she's looking at the world, everything's got a sparkle again. And I think that was just beautiful. That description of diamonds in my eyes was just like, wow, to see that. But I've had other people have a whole, like I've seen so many transformations. That's just a really beautiful, gentle one. But I've seen some incredible ones where suddenly people that maybe wanted to tap into some spiritual things, like they've always thought they were psychic or their messages. And then the next thing they know, they're seeing things. People are communicating with them from the other side. They've just advanced in everything in terms of their spiritual gifts, and what they're doing now post Umana is also really exciting too. So there's so many different. It's almost a question I can't answer because every single person has had this beautiful profound transformation. Even me, even when I receive a Umana, my life is changed. I don't even see myself as the same person as I was before I learned Umana. I look back and I'm a different person. So the biggest transformation is in me. Like the stuff that I have been able to do since Umana in terms of like be productive, problem solving. Like there's so many benefits to it. I feel like I'm a different person too, like from even a few months ago.
Absolutely. The growth is incredible. It's been maybe 2.5 months and life is unrecognizable. I feel that it catapults you onto your highest and greatest potential in a very short amount of time. It actually aligns you to your purpose much quicker. You just feel all these opportunities and all of these ideas sprouting quite rapidly, and then all the opportunities to implement that come straight away. It's really remarkable how quickly it transforms your whole world.
You've actually got I don't know if there's the right word, but it's a higher view or a higher perspective because you've actually got more tools and more inputs coming in. We underestimate our ability to grow and advance and our full potential. We often have these limited beliefs that hold us back. And with Umana, it's basically you're getting to a high point of a mountain. You can actually see the potential, and you can also go, oh, that's the path that I want to take back down, because you can actually see all the paths you can take. Oh, that's the easiest path. That's the tough one. I'm going to go this way, because your mind is clearer. So there's beautiful calmness that comes in. It's just there's so much potential.
And it's that wise sage, the feeling of being a wise sage and feeling quite calm in the face of adversity, in the face of challenging situations. I find myself able to stand back, as you said, a little bit, a higher perspective, and the approach, the communication is so much more sophisticated. Things just come to you that you think, I could never have managed this situation like that before.
Give credit to the Umana for giving me this clarity and this trust and just this problem. The problem solving in daily life is so helpful on top of all the spiritual stuff, because if you've got a problem with a relationship, if you've got a problem at work, if you've got a problem with a family member, if you've got a problem with like anything that you're trying to put together, like planning, there's so many other benefits apart from the spiritual ones. It's just a benefit for life.
Absolutely. The professional development opportunities, the personal, aside from it being, yes, we could look at it, it's spiritual evolution, but it's personal evolution, it's professional evolution. I think something like this is crucial for all different types of people to explore, even if they're just a little bit curious, rather than those who are just spiritual quest, because what you're able to achieve in your life and for those around you is truly profound. And I think the more people that get curious about this, and want to try it, and you can do either 30 minutes if you just want to dip your toe in, or you can do a full 60 minutes that activates all 5 of the higher chakras. But I just think people should, if you're a little bit curious, just give it a go. Just have one session. You can only go in one direction. You can only go up. Only good things can happen. And that's what's so exciting about this.
And on top of that, I completely agree with that. And I would also say the other thing is too, a lot of clients say, what do I need to do when they come in for your Umana session? You actually don't need to do anything. And when you just need to come in with the intention to receive, like just to be open to the Umana and just trusting the Umana. Because I think just going along with what you're saying is just give it a go. Because you don't know what it's going to open up, but if some of the benefits are you can access gifts and talents from your past life, all of that stuff, if that can open the door, if you can access all of that knowledge and memory there, just trust it's going to happen, and then just see what happens in your daily life afterwards. So have the Umana and don't walk out going, oh, I had a Umana, what's changed? You won't know what the changes are until you can actually see how it's affecting your life and you can link it back. And I think that's where it gets really exciting, because you don't know how it's going to do it. It can affect your lives in these ways that you probably haven't even anticipated. But it's a gift because you're giving yourself time. You're giving yourself the opportunity to look after you. And I don't think we do that enough. We don't stop. Everything's so busy. The Umana experience gives you a chance to look after yourself. You're saying, this is my time. This is my time. And I think it's really important for people to give themselves that time. And with the Umana, you can do that. But also just trust that there's going to be this beautiful benefit from saying to the universe, it's time for me to grow.
This is self-care, this is self-pampering, this is self-indulgence, this is something I want to do for myself. And yes, the actual session itself is effortless, but it's like with any of the services that we provide, especially ones that are instructed from Kachina, you need to continue to ascend that staircase. So if you do nothing, if you decide, I don't want to improve, I don't want to continue up this staircase, I want my life to stay the same, you can choose that. But you can also choose, and you need to obviously continue to work alongside these advancements and changes in your life to continue to expand. Like with anything, you still need to put effort in to continue that ascension process.
Do you have a Umana session? It's really important to also give yourself some time post just to keep checking in with yourself and actually just go, oh, what has changed? And then you can actually see potentially where you've done something differently, or you've handled something differently, or you feel differently, and then you can hold on to that and go, oh, this is different, because that gives you confirmation that that something is shifting and something is changing. And look, you can exactly what you said. You can choose not to move forward. You can choose to stay where you are. Not moving forward is a choice. Sometimes it's safety. But when you make the choice to start to move forward, the Umana is there and you can actually grab it by the horns and actually, go with it. It's a really great opportunity to go, this is my time. And I want to make some really positive shifts in my experience in this life. So it's something that happens with a lot of the Umana sessions, the feedback from clients. And I have asked all my clients if I can talk about this. The visualizations that come through, the messages that come through are really varied and different. One of the most common things, like I would do a lot of work with angels, but I've never really worked with dragons, but dragons seem to be coming in with Umana a lot. And people talking about visualizations of dragons coming in and breathing beautiful fire that's clearing and energy and energizing them. But all different types of dragons. And the dragons are doing all different things. But what's really great is that the visualization that the people are getting, it means something to them. So if you're not into dragons, that's great. But it's just that there's some common things that are coming through. Obviously, people are talking about colors, and then people are seeing faces, but or they're going to sleep. But that's just thing, because I've done a lot of energy work in the past, but I've never had so many dragons coming in. And really, like, you think about like a beautiful, fierce dragon coming in to help you clear stuff and move stuff and fire you up and give you like this beautiful energy in different colors. Like, that's just one experience from about at least 6 people that I've spoken to have had the dragon Umana experience, which is really interesting. And but the visuals that they talk about, they're so descriptive, and it's almost like when they're talking about it, they can really feel it, and it feels like they've integrated it into them.
So you're saying that these are the visualizations that they're receiving, not the ones that you're receiving to pass on to them. That's incredible.
I have seen dragons too. Yeah, I've seen dragons too come in, and it's really funny when what they say matches up. I remember the very, very first Umana session that I had. So much happened that I was actually lying there thinking, I have to remember that, 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 I have to remember that. And then I actually gave up remembering because so much happened. And then I actually got this really beautiful feeling of calm. I was like, it's okay. I don't need to remember it all, because it's, there was a beautiful moment where it was just like, I don't have to remember it all, because it was almost like I will know it all. There is a lot of stuff that happens for the clients. There is a lot of stuff that can come through from the practitioner as well. And I really like that, that we've got the opportunity to share in that energy of what's coming through and to pass it on. So many times what their experience of the client is and what we are passing on, it just matches up and aligns really well.
And for me, the messages are sometimes so abstract that I have to prep the client and say, I'm just letting you know it's quite abstract, but I'll leave it with you to make sense of it. And when I say abstract, I mean, wow, sometimes they are so bizarre and kooky that I don't want to pass it on, but I know I have no choice. I don't want to type that up and send it to someone. I have no choice. And it's so interesting to hear back once they've had a chance to think about it and absorb it. And they let me know what it means. I go, wow, that's incredible. It's remarkable.
It's funny, isn't it? Because we do this work, and we work with energy, and we work with things that we can't see, and then we get messages that we can't see. But it's funny when you start to pass it on. You have to break. It's almost like we have to break through a wall that goes, I don't want to do this. It's almost like take a deep breath to do it, but it's important because it has come through. Yep. And when you hear that validation from the clients and they go, I know what that means, or they go away and they come back and go, aha, thank you for that. And that's what makes this work really special is the thank yous, because it's really genuine. They're coming back because they've put some pieces of the puzzle together. And that's really beautiful when somebody can come back and go, this has been an issue for me, or I've been wondering about this for a while, but you've actually helped me answer a question. And it's not us helping them answer the question, it's them, and the energy working through them. We're just a facilitator for that, and that's really lovely. But yeah, the message you sometimes you almost like want to thinking, oh my God, they're going to read this and they're going to be like, who are you? Who are you? Who's this person?
Absolutely, it's quite funny. But they're obviously very specific visualizations or messages that are perfect for that person to be able to interpret it. So whatever it is, exactly as it is, we just have to say it. And it's always a bit of, as you said, a deep breath, like, okay, I'll say it.
What's really interesting too is though, when people go, how do you know if it's what, especially for us when it's coming through, because we all get messages about things that would never ever pop into our heads, and that's why we kind of sometimes you're like, what, why am I thinking about this at this point? Like it's never been in my frame of reference. And that's really exciting too, because that's when this is for them. This is for them, and I love it because it's something that I would never have even in my day-to-day life would never even something that can come across in my daily thoughts, or it'd be something I'd be interested in, but it's really personal to them, and I think that's really lovely when you know that you've actually got a connection with your client, and that's beautiful. So in that moment, you are connecting with someone, and Umana is a really beautiful way for a very brief moment to connect with somebody else. And that's what I really love about it as well, is that in this moment, as a practitioner, I'm coming in and I'm going to take care of you with the Umana, and you are going to be taken care of. And I think there's not enough of that in the world, of actually just being in the moment and actually connecting and actually being. Does that make sense? I know that's a really beautiful, one of the reasons I love to do this work.
Yes, absolutely. I feel the exact same way. The connection you feel, it's a connection, it's holding space, it's a container, especially with the remote sessions. And you and I have talked before where we can actually see our surrogate breathing and moving. I feel so deeply.
Oh, yes. Oh.
I feel so deeply connected to clients, and I feel such an enormous amount of love for them. It's a beautiful moment during the session when you're talking afterwards. It's really very, very, very special, and that's something I enjoy as well.
I want to just go back to that point you made about the breathing, the proxy when we're doing a remote session, because we that was what, if you were talking about things that you want to explain and you think, oh, people think I'm crazy by even mentioning that, but when you do the remote sessions and you're actually working, because the thing about Umana is it's a technique, it's a very specific technique. It's do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And you have to follow the techniques. As we get used to it and actually learning it and how to do it, we're really concentrating on this technique. But now when you get familiar with it, you follow it. And then there's this point where you're actually doing the technique and you've got your hands on the proxy. So if it's a remote, you could use a doll or a teddy bear or something. But I think we both spoke about this, where you're looking at the thing and suddenly it's actually, the proxy is actually breathing, and you're actually looking at it going, what's going on? And your hand, it's like, it's almost like they're breathing. You're actually that's how connected you are with the person that you're sending the remote to. It's beautiful. You can't explain it to somebody that doesn't understand it all. But when we spoke about it, we were like, it happened for you. It happened for you. It was almost like we could just go, I wasn't saying things. And then it's like, and I really love that now, because it's just almost like you can really know that connection's there. It's lovely.
I feel like you're, especially at the end, when we're placing the very last thing we do when we're placing our hands on their head, I feel like I am in the room with them, touching their head, and it's those last moments, I find myself smiling for the entire 5 minutes, because it just feels,
it's beautiful.
So beautiful. Absolutely. And something you mentioned before about how do we know the difference of whether it's a message for us or for them. They'll say to me, they'll start a message. Sometimes I'll start a message for like 2 seconds, and then they'll go, oh, by the way, this is for you. Or they'll very, very, very clearly say, this message is for you. So that I don't start trying to record it in my mind to make sure I remember to pass it on to the client. Do you get similar messages from them when they distinguish, this is for you, this is for the client?
Yeah, so I know that people receive things in different ways. So it sounds like you hear things, they speak to you. Is that how you're hearing it? Yeah, so I feel things. So I kind of have to work through, what's this feeling? And then it's almost like the words just pop into my head. So I don't hear it audibly, or I do see things, but mostly it's almost like someone's just popped the words in my head. And I actually almost see them, but my messages, yeah. I do know when it's for me really clearly, because it almost comes through in a different way for me. Like if it's for the client, it comes in a little bit gently. It's almost like, just take your time with this, because this is not for you.
Yes.
You don't want to muck up the message. Yeah. If it's for me, it's like, okay, got it.
Yeah.
I do a lot of work. I've been learning that a lot lately, like how just in general guides communicate me, because I said I do a lot of work with angels, and I'm really confident when they're telling me something, and it's really lovely. And also with the Umana, they give it to me really gently, because it's like, you need to get this right. You don't need to analyze it. Or don't put your spin on it. Like, they keep it really simple as well, and they don't, so that it's like, this is for them, and it's like, there you go. It's like, here you go.
So I'm going to backtrack a little bit and then come back to this. I find that, yes, pellowah and Umana are extremely different from each other, but they complement each other amazingly well. And I attribute the enormous amount of activations and advancements in my life due to the fact that I utilize both modalities to balance each other and complement each other ongoing. When we didn't have pellowah shares for 4 weeks because Nayali was away, I could see what just Umana felt like. And then when we had a pellowah share night, I was like, oh, okay, wow, I really like this. I really like the two of them together. Yeah. For me, that is
They do really complement each other really well. I always talk about if I was to put things into really simple terms, because I do Reiki, pellowah, and Umana. This is how I see it. If somebody comes to me with something physical, my default would be to go to Reiki. I don't see many people that come into me with physical stuff, because most of the people that have been drawn to me are wanting to work with like raising consciousness, expanding consciousness. That's really interesting to me, because I'm sure the clients that come to you are a specific type of client as well, because of the energy that you put out and why we're here on this earth. So Reiki, I say is, if you're physical, I go to Reiki. If you want clearing, if you want healing, in terms of like something from the past, that some baggage that you're holding on to, I go to pellowah. If you want expansion, like rapid expansion and spiritual growth, it's Umana. So those three actually all work together really well, and I think that's a really there's a really simplistic way to look at it. It depends on the client and the experience and what they're coming to you for. So, but they do sort of work hand in hand, even though they're all different.
Something else I have found is, so to me, Umana is almost the foundation. So it's opening up meridians and the higher chakras. Pellowah comes through and just constantly re-energizes and balances those existing meridians that we already had in place and the new ones. As you feel the energy, when we're doing attunements on each other, and I don't know, I'll need to ask one of my clients who's doing the usual 60-minute pellowah session what it feels like. But the pellowah session feels so much more profound when you're mixing in with Umana. It feels like a larger volumes of light are coming through, and you can feel your whole body and your whole field expanding and opening up. You feel taller, you feel wider. It's just, you feel like your light is just taking up, not just a whole room, a whole street. You have to, it's incredible. People don't have to mix Umana in with any other modality. You can just do Umana, or you can mix it in with not pellowah, any other modality that you feel drawn to or aligned to. But I suppose the point here is that Umana can be mixed in with other modalities, and it can complement anything else that you're wanting to work on. It's not, I can only do Umana for this month, I can't do the other thing. We have found that you can blend everything that you're doing, and they complement each other beautifully.
You can use crystals, anything that you wanted to bring in with that, with the Umana, because Umana is basically, it's activating these chakras and the meridian system. So you're actually going up and expanding outwards.
Yeah.
And then whatever else you're actually bringing in to work with it is actually I love what you were saying about it. It actually feels like, expanding outwards almost to like the size of the street, because that's what is happening. We talk about our aura as being this six foot sort of energy field around us, but when you start to work in this space and you actually start to realize the full potential, and your energy can go out further and further and further, and the stronger you get, the more light you have, the more protected you are, the brighter you can shine. But it does go out and out and out and up and up and up, and that's what is so exciting about this. I feel incredibly privileged to have come into the Umana world, the pellowah world, especially where we are in like the world at the moment. It can be a really, really scary place, and if we were going to let all of that sort of influence where we are and who we are and how we approach the world, we'd be curled up in a little ball. I think what's really beautiful about Umana is it gives you a bit of fire and confidence and courage, and inspires you to go out and to live the best life that you can live, and not be afraid of it, because you realize your potential, who you are. You come back to who you are, what you're capable of. You have a beautiful connection to source, and you trust, and that's just expansive in itself. And that's the confidence you need. You don't need to worry about how you look, or all this that's going on. Or this person's got that person's got that. You come back to yourself, and I think that's really beautiful.
Absolutely. And you start to learn very quickly, when am I out of alignment with myself? Because I might start to feel a little bit of anger or competitiveness. When any of those type of emotions come in, I am out of alignment, because with the work that I'm doing with Umana and pellowah, I don't feel that way. So that's great. It makes it so much easier because then you know exactly what you need to do to get yourself back in alignment.
And you know what else? Just on that, if something does happen to you, like there are things that happen in your life where you're actually they do pull you down. Just recently, I had my cat go missing. He was missing for 3 days, and it was the end of I was working on a pretty high vibration level. Then he went missing, and it was the worst time of my life. It was horrific. I didn't know where he was, and I had thought I'd lost him forever. But during that time, there were these moments of clarity, and I was like, just trust. I was letting my thoughts get in the way, but I was suddenly having these moments where I was like, just breathe and the universe will work it all out. We did find him. He needed to have an operation. Not an operation. He had a broken pelvis. He'd been hit by a car and attacked by a dog, but he's okay. He's been in recovery. But what I did notice is the bounce back from going down to coming back. And a lot of people I know find it hard to be resilient. You can be pulled down and they get stuck in a rut and they get stuck there. But what I'm finding with the people that I work with is that they can get into this rut and they can pull themselves out. So they can get back into looking towards the light instead of looking towards all the negative stuff. And that's what's really great about this work that we're doing. And I think it relates to what you were just saying is that you know when you're out of alignment and you know when you're in alignment. And if you're out of alignment, you can pull yourself back in faster. So you can actually take responsibility and have the choice. And it's really exciting because you know that you are in charge of it. Instead of looking backwards, you can look forward. And that's pulling yourself back into alignment. So if you get off track, that's okay, but you can pull yourself faster and know that you're not going to get stuck there.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your story. And we've been keeping in touch because we've both had issues with our sweet poor little with our cat. But it's something I actually wrote two blogs shortly after each other about a similar thing because I also was on this incredible my personal world has been an incredible transformation, and it's just things are happening and escalating all the time. But those immediately around me, my son and my cat, 2 days after each other, they both went through very difficult times, which obviously has an impact on me, but I could not believe my response to it and my own feelings. I was so surprised by how well I managed throughout. And one thing that I found really incredible is that insight that I had was, this isn't your experience. This isn't about you. This is Marshy, my kitten, the things that kept happening to him, which were just absolutely awful complications. This is his journey, and the same with my son. You're here to hold space. You're here to give love. You're here to support. A year ago, that I would not have felt that at all. I would have felt absolutely crushed by this. This would have taken me months to get over. I would have been, this would have been a huge trauma for me. And I'm not saying that I feel cold about it. In fact, I have felt that I was able to give so much more love because I wasn't attached to the story, and because I didn't personalize it. I was just so grateful and thankful for the ability that I had to find my inner resources and tools, and also to see what is my role within this. And I was able to support them and coordinate things for them in an effective way, rather than kind of getting sucked into the why is this happening to us. I just didn't see it that way. And that was amazing. So
that's great.
Yeah. And at the same time, while these things are happening,
the way that
professionally, all these amazing things keep happening. Your life doesn't stop by events. It actually continues to thrive. I attribute all of this to Umana. It really is an incredible tool that is available to us.
It's interesting too, like, for listening to what you're saying, life doesn't stop. Like, there's always going to be things happening. There's going to be awful things that are happening. There's going to be good things that are happening. But if you're just listening to your story, you're able to be more in the moment and actually get out, because when all those things are happening to your cat and your son, and you're probably like, what about this and what about this, and like, how did this happen? And you get out, you get that kind of, all that garbage gets out of the way. You're able to be here, and you go, how can I react, or how can I what do I need to do in this situation that run in front of me? And you can let go of those attachments. You can and you can actually be in the moment. You can still feel things really deeply. Like, you will still feel upset or pain or hurt, but you're able to transition through it a lot easier, instead of holding it on and keeping that baggage on. Like you were saying, if it's something that would take you months to get over, like you're still holding on. It's like carrying 10 bags of shopping, and you're walking along and you actually realize, I could put them down. Then you can just breathe. But the sooner you learn how to be able to put those bags down, or not even pick them up. And that's what this type of event, like, when you're expanding consciousness, when you're raising consciousness, when you're looking at things with a new view. I always like to talk about it as if you're shifting the camera lens. And so suddenly you've got all this sort of stuff here and whatever, but when you shift the camera lens, suddenly the perspective changes, and all that stuff that was there, you actually becomes out of focus, and you're actually able to focus on that. And that's one of the things that I've found, like, especially with Umana, like this last few months, the camera the shifting the camera lens, what I'm focusing on is incredible. Things have happened that have been, traumatic or horrific or unexpected. You're able to let go of, what your expectations are. You're able to approach it in a different way, and you know what? You're able to know that you're going to be able to get through it. You're going to but also appreciate all the great stuff that's happening, and get excited about stuff. And when people can get excited about life again, I think that's incredible.
Absolutely. And it's something that I want to briefly talk about, and I think it's really important for people to understand that no matter what we're doing, so these incredible new heights and these incredible levels of consciousness that we're achieving and working through does not mean that you are automatically in a constant state of bliss. If you are to expect that your life is going to suddenly become without challenges, without difficulties, without surprises, you're going to focus on the wrong aspects, and you're going to think this isn't working. So it's so important for people to realize that whilst you're here on earth in this physical plane, you are going to constantly, in a cyclical fashion, experience beautiful times of joy and beautiful times of growth, and sometimes even effortless flow. But as you continue to go along that cycle, and it's a spiral up, you're also going to go through times, especially at every level of consciousness, you're going to go through difficult dark nights of the soul again each and every time, shorter in duration, but very difficult. You're going to continue to have challenges. And when you accept that, outlook, it's going to be much easier to embrace what comes your way and decide how you're going to respond to it, rather than collapse into despair and go, this shouldn't still be happening. Because anyone that is teaching you that you're going to have effortless bliss on this planet, I wonder if at some point at a very high level that might happen, but I don't know one person that has actually happened to. And that really shouldn't be the goal at this point in any case, because it's about growth. Would you agree?
Yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to happen before I think anybody can get to that point. But I think what you're touching on is that the human experience is about lessons, and so we are going to be going through lessons, good times, bad times, growth, and it's I keep coming back to growth and expansion. Yeah. And I completely agree with what you're saying. If you're going through these bad times, what you focus on and how you, I always say our perception creates our reality. So if you're going through some bad stuff, what are you focusing on? That's going to be your experience of it. Two people could be going through the same thing, the exact same thing, but somebody focus on the negative aspects of it, somebody focus on the positive aspects of it. They're still feeling the same thing, but what they're focusing on is going to really impact their experience of it. And where am I going with this? Your perception creates your reality, and I think it's really important to recognize that that full-time bliss is a great goal. I feel like there's a lot of work that would have to be there, but I think it's really important to recognize that some people also try to keep you in fear, and that you have to recognize that it would be better to look towards a life of where bliss is, bliss. I think bliss is a really interesting term. I feel like when you're able to look at stuff without attachment, maybe that could be bliss, because you're not being disappointed and you're not feeling like, this didn't happen to me, or why didn't this happen, or, or why. But if you look at it in terms of, not having any expectations of where you're going, and then you can be excited by where you're going. I don't know if that's making any sense, but it might be a different way to look at it. But I agree with you that to be in bliss all the time is something that we probably can't. Most people wouldn't be able to get tomorrow or in 100 years. It'll take a long time before you actually get to that state, because there's a lot of learning still to happen. Like, look at humanity at the moment. Look at all the stuff that's happening around the world. There's so many things going on. They're getting in the way of that. So we can only really focus on us and where we are and moving forward. But I think, too, the biggest thing for me, just on that, is we have to stop letting people scare us and holding us back through fear. And also thinking that we can't do stuff, and actually thinking like, who are you to think that you can do this, or, this horrible thing happened to you in the past, and you've just got to focus on it all the time. Like, there's got to be a time when you start to shift your perspective, or just start to have a look in some different directions to be able to move forward. And when you're able to get out of that and that's to actually look towards the light, I always talk about looking towards the sun, looking towards the light, looking towards the light, looking towards the light. And that's probably about as close as I could get to getting to the bliss. But if you're constantly looking at the good stuff, the stuff that raises your vibration, like if you're constantly in the point of wanting to live a better life, be a better person, then you kind of step in towards that space. And obviously, like you said, you can't be in bliss all the time, but you'll be able to be in a better space, a higher vibration more often than when you're looking behind.
Absolutely. We all, yes. One would imagine that most people are looking for, how can I achieve my greatest potential? And you can always surprise yourself about how much more and how much better that can actually be. What we think, we think that there's a ceiling, and then you realize there's no ceiling because I just burst through it. So without question,
that's exciting.
It is exciting, that quest for personal evolution, which is so different for everybody, and not focusing what anyone else is doing, just focusing, as you were saying before, focusing on yourself, what I can achieve for me, and making sure that each day I am finding ways to do better, be better, grow. That is an incredible quest to be on. If
I go for a walk every morning at like 5 a.m. and I'm so surprised it's still at 5 a.m. how many people are out for a walk on their phone, not looking up.
At 5 a.m?
They're not looking up. It's a beautiful time of the morning. At 5 a.m, out for a walk, people are on their phones, like on social media, and I think you have to look for these little tricks and these things that are holding people back from actually even understanding that there is so much more potential that they're not tapping into. I completely agree that people probably want to do the best, but there's so many distractions in the way. You have to disconnect to connect, is what I say. Yeah. And Umana is a really great way to connect and actually get back to yourself. What I was talking about earlier in this chat was, when you decide to have a Umana session, you're making a decision for you. This is your time, and going back to that whole thing about, you have to be able to make the time to go to actually realize that you've got potential. But if you're on your phone all the time, or you've got all this other stuff that's in the way, you're not actually giving you a chance to see your potential, plan your potential, let the universe the universe is opening the doors for you all the time. But if you're on your device, if you've got all these other things, if you're not focused on you have to bring it back to you. And I think that's where Umana is really great, is it gives you some clarity, and it gives you time to go, I can't do anything unless I'm working on this. I can't help that person unless I'm working on this. I'm really excited about Umana making its way into the healing community, because it is relatively new, but everybody that has been touched by it has had a really profound experience. And I think the ways that it complements other healing modalities is really exciting. So it's going to be another tool in the tool belt. it's just going to add to what we can do. And I think that in terms of like humankind and where we are in terms of consciousness and evolution and where we are on our journey towards wherever it is that we're going, it's really going to be something that people are just drawn to when they find out about it. And it's going to actually accelerate development in so many ways. So I think that's going to be really exciting for the wider spiritual community, because it's such an easy modality to learn when you do learn it with Katina, but it's also a really, I mean, the fact that you can do it remotely or in person, I mean, you can have it anytime, anywhere, and you can have it multiple times, or you can just have it once. But I think in terms of like where it fits in, it fits everywhere. So I think that's really exciting.
And something we've mentioned before is a lot of it comes down to awareness. So people have mentioned that as soon as they've heard about it, they absolutely knew that that was for them, and they wanted to have or organize a session straight away. And then they're just looking for a practitioner that it's incredible how that works. When they're drawn to someone or the person that's right for them, it's just a beeline straight for that individual. But as soon as people actually understand what Umana does, people just feel this sense of, I felt that this was coming, or I was expecting this. They were being prepared previously. Have you had clients mention similar things?
Yeah, it's the right place at the right time. And you know what's really exciting is if we can activate these meridians, what are the other ones that are still waiting to be unlocked down the track? Isn't that exciting? I feel like that's even more exciting, like the possibility of where this can go and what the potential is, because we'd always talk about having self-limited beliefs, and we always look at the world with the perspective that we've got. This is actually unlocking the door to rooms that we haven't explored.
Absolutely. And because we know that this is about the collective is ready for this, and this is why this specific tool or this specific method is available to us now. The more people that start to take these next steps and we open up to these higher levels, the sooner that we can usher in whatever else is available. And it just keeps getting more and more exciting, more and more amazing. So we are in an incredible time, I think.
Yeah.
Next question. How do you continue to grow and evolve as a Umana practitioner?
I believe my growth is more about stepping into. I never saw myself as a, and I don't like to use the word healer. I think of more of a facilitator. I see myself as a conduit for whatever energy that I am working with. Because I feel like the people do the work. People come to me and go, "Thank you for this." I'm like, "Thank you for doing that." But from what I was doing 20 years ago, I used to work in media. I was the editor of the highest circulating magazine in Australia, and I was working for TV and radio. And now to come to be looking at doing this work, I've fallen into it. I came across pellowah a few years ago, and now I never thought that I would be teaching pellowah or doing that, but it just happened. The same thing with Umana. I just knew I had to learn it. I just knew I had to bring it into my field so that I could bring it into the field of everybody else. And I just want to keep pushing it forward to new people. I just feel like professionally, I just need to let people know how great it is, how it can help them, how it's helped others, and just to be a real advocate for this beautiful modality that I feel really grateful and humbled to be able to share. And it's a really beautiful thing to be able to feel like I'm part of this, to be able to help other people.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. And my next question, what are your personal and professional goals with Umana and other modalities, and what projects are you working on next?
That's a really interesting question. So obviously Umana is a priority for me at the moment.
I saw on your website that you are launching Oracle cards.
I have launched Oracle cards. And to be honest, they would not have happened without Umana. That all happened post Umana, and I can absolutely tell you that if I hadn't, that would still be just a thought in my brain. Without the Umana actually made them a reality. It gave me the clarity and exactly the focus on what I wanted to do that. I really want to push Umana further. I want to explore it a bit more. I want to be able to offer it to more people, and actually get the word out like you are, and actually share the experience and what's happening with Umana. I also do a lot of work with angels, so I've actually got my own. I'm trying to get people to. You might have heard me say this already before. Disconnect to connect. And I talk about that from a personal level, but I just really want people to start to be able to connect in with all the stuff that we can't see. So there's things like Wi-Fi going past us and Bluetooth going past us and radio waves, and there's all this energy. There's pellowah and Umana, and there's like Reiki. It's all here. But there's also all the energy of in this ether of that we can tap into for wisdom and guidance. And I do, like you can see, I do a lot of work with angels behind me. My latest thing is actually getting people to actually work out how to work with the archangels, all the different ones, because they're here and they want to help, and that's where I really want to start going with that. And if it wasn't for Umana, that wouldn't be happening either. So that's like, I talk about how I fell into this line of work, and now Umana is pushing me to spread Umana, but also about how to work with angels. And the feedback that I'm getting for that's been really good as well.
Incredible. That's amazing. Beautiful. So you're providing new services, new workshops, new mentoring. What does that actually look like?
Yeah, so it's mentoring, it's workshops. Again, post Umana, I came up with my own modality. It's called the Diamond Activation, but it actually connects you with the angelic realms through a workshop where you basically can go away, you connect with your guardian angel, you connect with the angelic realms, and you can use it in an instant. And I launched that a few weeks ago at a retreat at Cedar Creek, and the feedback has been incredible. So I just really want people to be able to find what their potential is in life and realize how far they've come. We've all gone through I was about to use a swear word. We've all gone through struggle. We all have our struggles. But how you react to that and respond to that is what I really want people to know. So if you've gone through some tough times, and believe me, I've been through some really terrible times. If you knew my whole history of where I've come from and where I am now, but what I do know is that there's hope, and I want people to realize that whatever they're going through now, it's impermanent. But how can you get through that? Through joy and wonder and celebration, and just being able to, I guess, look at the world with some childlike wonder again. Like I know I'm going to say the word light. I'm probably overuse the word light, but like when you feel light, and you're feeling like you're happy and joyful and you euphoric. I want people to be able to tap into that really easily, so that they can keep moving forward, so that they feel like there's always room for growth and always room for change, and it's exciting. And I think that's where I get excited, is that I know that it's possible, and I want other people to be able to realize or remember that as well, because I think a lot of people sometimes forget.
Absolutely. And I think it is so important that people remove this self-limiting belief that on this planet you can only grow through struggle and grow through pain and go through suffering, because in actual fact, what we should all be striving to is you can grow through joy, you can grow through love, you can grow through all these incredibly beautiful divine aspects and qualities. It doesn't have to be this difficult life of suffering, as you were talking about before. There's perspectives, and not that we want to diminish anyone's suffering. That's not the takeaway of what we're saying at all. But we're just saying this perspective shift that you want to bring into your life, this abundance of joy and love, and focus on how can I grow through these beautiful divine qualities and aspects, is something that a lot of people do forget about, because we're so busy that we don't get the opportunity to sit back and rest and think, what do I actually want to bring in? What do I want to project? And those are, two of my absolute favorite qualities, love and joy.
Me too. I think, it's just when you can just focus on that too. Like when you focus on it, it's easy to bring it in as well.
Very true. Next question. How do you stay grounded and maintain your own well-being while offering healing to others?
like to get out in nature and just get my feet on the grass or hug a tree, or if it's warm enough. I think my favorite way to stay grounded is just to go for a swim and get in the ocean. I love water. Like, water is my thing. Actually, somebody said to me recently that I was at the workshop in Cedar Creek, and they said, your aura is like water. Like, you know, it's like waves, like you're in the flow. And I was just like, I know, I cannot even be far away from, I have to be near, like, if I went into the desert, I'd probably dehydrate. I think just nature is grounding to me. I think disconnecting is grounding to me, and I like to start my day without even picking up my phone until I've been outside and just immerse myself in the morning. Or if I can't do that, even if it's raining, look, I'll be honest, raining is my favorite weather. Rain is grounding. Like, anything that's to do with nature to me is grounding. Yeah, I would say that they're probably the most common ways that I do ground. And I also like to pull my energy in now and then, because I think sometimes, you know, you can expand it out, but you also need to make sure that you do bring it in and make sure that you're protected. So I do like to make sure I do some energy maintenance and clearing, and working on my own energy, and just making sure that there's balance in my life. So not you know, pushing myself too far, making sure there's balance with this work, because I tend to, in the past, be wanting to spend all my time up in the ether and having to make sure that I'm also in this sort of and so I do have to ground myself a fair bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And could you describe to us the client experience within your healing space and where your healing space is?
Yeah, so I actually work from home, but I've got a beautiful healing space in my home. I live opposite a national park, so we've got these beautiful windows look out into nature. So I'm all about nature. So when you come in, it's a really beautiful energy. I love the whole feeling of a healing space, because the energy when you walk into the room, you can just feel it. And I like to sit down with the client, get to know them, just ask how they're going, and just get them feeling, you know, trust. If it's a new client, it doesn't seem to take that long. I feel like I'm really good at you know, making the client feel like, you know, they are the center of the attention, and they are, because when you're working with me, all my attention is on you. So I will take care of you. It's a beautiful space. So the client experience is, come in, we'll have a chat. If you're coming for an agreed session, so you might have already said, I want to come for a Umana, or you might be coming for a pellowah. It's already set up to go. It's a beautiful space to do that. If we're not sure, if you want to have a chat about what you want, we'll have a chat, and then as we're talking, I'll let them help me decide what we'll know. It's funny, sometimes before a client comes, I'll actually be told what to do, and then when they get there, when they arrive, I already know what we need to do, because they're guiding me that way. But it's really lovely. Yeah, so it's a really nice environment.
And we'll include your website link in the description and the comments.
Thank you for having me. It's so exciting to be able to talk about Umana, because it's relatively new. But it's so exciting that you're doing this, and I just want to say thank you for getting it out there, because I think without you know, getting the word out, it's such a beautiful thing to share. And for people, you were saying, I think people are hearing about it and going, that's what I need. And I think a lot of people will benefit from you sharing the Umana technique. And yeah, it's just beautiful to be able to talk about it, because I feel like, even though we're not doing it Umana, just talking about it is it just brings in that beautiful energy, and it's such a wonderful space to be in, and to feel like Kachina Mayan and everything that she's done with what she's brought to humanity, and to be able to bring that out to more people. I also want to thank Kachina as well, because I think what she's been able to do for us and to share with us and put her trust in us to be able to share it is actually really, really special too.
Absolutely.
The other exciting thing about Kachina is she is coming to Sydney to teach Umana for the first time teaching Umana, but also the first time in Sydney for a long time. So that's happening in November. So if you are interested in learning Umana and becoming a practitioner like us, and taking this out to the world, this is the perfect time, if you're in Sydney, to actually meet Kachina. You could meet me.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Nate. It's been an amazing chat with you about Umana today. If you're interested in arranging a Umana session, you can reach out to Nate or myself or simply look up Umana Technique for any one of the most amazing Umana practitioners. We hope you can join us again in episode 2. Until then, take care. Subscribe and join our community for all things Umana.